then you can read it. All right, everyone, we are here live at Ruby's Elixir to answer legal questions. This is my friend right here, Ahmad Yakzan. He is an immigration attorney right here in St. Petersburg. I'm, of course, your personal injury attorney, Derek Bernstein, and we will be taking your questions as well as me and Ahmad will go back and forth on kind of some legal issues. We are here at Ruby's Elixir. Anybody who's not been to Ruby's Elixir is a great cigar bar. You basically can get drunken legal advice on the weekends from Ahmad here. Hopefully not. But don't ask us questions on the other days. Ahmad, you're going to have to be my eyes to see what people are chiming in on.
That's
these.
okay. And let me just give me a second. Let me just move my camera up a little bit.
We are here. This is my live feed. And we have Ahmad's there on the top right. So if we're looking at either ones, we're just trying to get to the most people here and see what's going on. But Ahmad, if you'd like to say a little bit about yourself, about your firm, go ahead.
Sure. I'm the founder and owner of the American Dream Law Office. We actually practice all things immigration, be it from removal proceedings to family petitions to naturalization to federal court cases that actually challenges USCIS's or any governmental organization's decision in your case. We do all of that. So as I say, if you have an immigration question, call us. And even if you don't have an immigration question and have and you want a referral for someone else that I know, I only send referrals to people I trust and I know that they're great lawyers. So call us and I'll tell you who I would recommend to actually, and he's one of them. So
yeah. So one of the things we do, and I'll keep looking back and forth, but one of the things I want to do with these videos is bring to my audience, people who know me, other great attorneys in the St. Pete area, in the Tampa area, and all around that can answer questions that I can't. So while I tell everybody, come to me, ask me any question you have, sometimes what I do is I take those questions and I go back and I ask somebody like Ahmad, and I say, hey, somebody's asked me a question about immigration, or their cousin just got a letter in the mail from, see, I don't even know all the people, but something's coming up. What should I do? And I say, hey, give me a little legal advice for them. I talk to him, and if it's something that he's like, no, this person needs representation, then I tell those people, hey, I have a good friend who does immigration law. Go speak to that person. So I think in the legal market, it is insanely wise to reach out to lawyers because we all know each other and we know who does good work, we know who does bad work. Hopefully not as many people do bad as good, but we can lead you in the right place even if that person is not ourselves.
So one of probably the biggest questions that we get, Derek, is what happens if I'm undocumented and I get in a car accident?
Yes. So that's
would that affect what the settlement will be? Would that affect anything like that?
I mean, when you're looking at, obviously, when we're looking at a car crash, having a person be in the best legal standpoint to be able to pursue a case, reach out to an attorney like myself, obviously you're going to be doing things with insurance companies, with the courts, with that. It draws more attention to your legal status. So, I mean, I would want to get somebody, if I found somebody came to me and they were injured, I would like to pursue their claim, but I'd also say, hey, while we're pursuing this claim, before we have to go and file that case, put it in more public record, let me get you on the phone with one of my friends, let him get some things, let me get a stay in your proceedings done, or let me have him work on your visa applications, your green cards, and all the things that he's good at, so that they can never use that against us and say, well, oh, that one dropped. That's all right, but I'll continue over here, and you can hear me and say, basically, you want to make sure that everything is done to the highest standards, and the insurance company is going to come back, they're going to say, well, oh, we're going to offer you this low money, your person's not even legally in this country, they should take whatever they get. So we want to have that be, something that's not a problem. So I call him on, he call you work on your stuff. We have Jeremy showed up. Jeremy Kokomai is a great marketing professional in this area, showed up because we're doing this live here with me and Ahmad. But if you want to show up to Ruby's in the next 15, 20 minutes, ask us some legal questions, we can do that for you. Is anybody asking any questions there? I can't read from that far away.
Let's see. we only have people watching. So
I watch it. All right.
Yeah.
Like
So
that.
I had an unfortunate situation last year where our client actually was involved in a car crash. She was rear-ended, and she was undocumented, and there was a problem with her status because she had an old removal order against her that was entered in the 1990s, and she gets in the car crash, and it wasn't even her fault, and the cop asked for her ID, and all she had to produce is an ID, a council ID from Mexico, and because of that removal order being on her background, she ended up being sent to the 49th Street Jail here in St. Pete. And unfortunately, you know, the government used that to the old removal order and actually enforced it against her. So, if you have an old removal order against you, and I know you're married to a Cuban, and I know I have a lot of Cuban friends. I have a lot of friends, you know, who know people who might have an old removal order against them, or they might even know about the removal order because it could have been entered in absentia. If you have something like that, I would call an immigration attorney. In this climate right now, I would call an immigration attorney to see if we can do anything about that.
Yeah, and I think those things can be done contemporaneously. When you're looking at, you know, a personal injury claim as well, a lot of those are going to be done, you know, before you go into the courts and make them public and have to file. That could be months and months and months, and you can do a lot of negotiating without the public sphere. That gives somebody like Ahmad time to get your paperwork right, get you set up. Obviously, with immigration, because my wife is Cuban, I know, you know, the extradition and removal is different than it is, but you never know tomorrow what it's going to be. We're not trying to get into the politics, and here we're trying to stay politics neutral and things like that, but, you know, Ahmad can talk more on that than I can, because
I was in court maybe 3 years ago down in Miami, and I was in front of Judge Mateo, who's one of the immigration judges down in Miami.
Getting a little too close, right?
And he does.
Cal Robinson. We got a lot of people. All right, good stuff.
And he does. And he does detained docket, which means that if you're in ICE custody, that's what Judge Mateo actually used to do. And they had a Cuban person who was in detention who was, you know, just give me the removal order. Nothing is going to happen between the United States and Cuba. And the problem was that after he hung up the phone with the person, Judge Mateo goes, I hear this every single day. You don't know what actually happens between now and later, and this is a removal order forever. So you need to understand that if relations between the United States and Cuba get better, they will enforce that removal order.
Yeah.
And that's one of the sticky issues that would happen right now between the United States and Cuba is the immigration issues for other people.
And that's something, you know, if you could read those, see if there's any questions coming in. Guys, send your questions in. I'm sitting a little too far away from the camera, and I put myself in a weird position, but send your questions in, and we'll answer them as we go. Obviously, my background is I do personal injury right now. Ahmad does immigration, but we've seen a lot of things, so we can at least give you a general overview, answer some good questions, and if not, we can get back to you later once we reach out to some people. You can have small business questions. We've got Jeremy over here. He came live. He works with Skyway Media marketing and things like that, so I can interject and go grab him and have him answer that. But one of the questions I wanted to touch on was David McKenna from Swan Medical, great guy. He asked me earlier today about DUI cameras, red light cameras, whether they should fight them or they should not. And the way I look at it, and correct me if we look at it in the same way, they're not actually criminal charges. So because they're not criminal charges, because they're civil citations, it doesn't actually open up the full breadth of the Constitution to protect you. So the biggest thing when I look at it, I think they're unconstitutional.
I do too.
And I think they should go away. Most of the money is not going to the state to actually raise funds for anything. It goes to the companies who run it. But that aside, you have a right, I believe under the Sixth Amendment, to face your accuser. And if your accuser is a camera, how can you face that accuser? There's they come and they say, well, there's actually an officer who reviews them from a room somewhere and does it. And you know, under the Sixth Amendment, if the government is charging you with something, you have the right to put them on trial, ask them questions. They have the burden to prove that what you did was the actual crime. Even in there too, I looked because I've got one before, and they're horrible. They're way up on fees and things like that. They make you sign an affidavit, basically ratting out the person who was in your car if it wasn't you. So to get off, if you weren't in your car, you have to rat out the person who was in your car. And if you're lying, then you could face sanctions. So it's a money grab by the states. I don't like them, but the judges don't seem to, because it's civil, they don't seem to have any wiggle room to really do anything, and the way I've seen it thus far. And so I recommend pay the fine. You're not going to get points on your license because it is a civil infraction, not a criminal, and move on with your life and hope that the Supreme Court of Florida overturns it and makes them unconstitutional everywhere. It's happened in some cities, but not everywhere throughout the state.
Actually, we do have a right to confront your accusers, and we use that all the time in immigration court, because we do get a lot of police reports, a lot of witnesses from the government, all of these things that we raise in
People are right here.
They are. There's a couple. There's one that I need to answer in a second. With all the undocumented immigrants that we have, I think the question was, if someone has been here for more than 5 years, can she apply for citizenship if she doesn't have any status? Usually to apply for a green card.
Hey Tammy, how's it going? Just saying hello to some people. My wife's watching, so that's good. But Christian Meyer, to interject you on there, because this is a really good question. Christian Meyer is a great personal injury attorney in St. Pete, Berkowitz Meyer, down there off Central or First Ave North, South, I believe. He says, I have family in Caracas, which is Venezuela. My aunt has been denied a visa now twice. What benefit would it be to me to hire a lawyer in the States to attempt to get that visa if I am confirming that she will be staying with me and taken care of for the time of her visa?
Well, that's one of the questions that we're having right now, because Venezuela has a lot of political turmoil, by the way, and the issue is, what are we doing? A lot of people are trying to get out of Venezuela, so the United States government, I think, is being really harsh on people trying to get visitor visas. And what a lot of people don't understand is one of the things that you have to prove when you're applying for a visitor visa is whether you're coming back to your country. That idea is called immigrant intent.
Yeah.
And there are some visa categories like the H-1B visa or the H visa, the L visa, all of these visas that allow you to actually have dual intent. Actually, we have So we have so you can have dual intent under some of those categories. But if you're coming here only on a visitor visa, you don't actually have you can't have dual intent if you're coming here on just a visitor visa. So a person writing a letter who's from the family saying, hey, why don't we, I'm going to take care of them, that might actually allow you to get permanent residence in the United States when you're in the United States if you have relatives, and the consular officer might use that as a bad thing against you and say you're going to go there to stay.
Yeah. So I think addressing his question directly, why should he hire, say, somebody like you compared to going and hiring somebody in Caracas, Venezuela?
What does Mr. Meyer do again?
He's a personal injury attorney.
Okay, so Mr. Meyer, would you recommend me doing my PI case on my own? I really honestly don't think so. No, I had a PI case myself.
Should he get a Venezuelan attorney?
Okay.
Or you, somebody in the States.
Okay, so I only do immigration, for example. So I know what are the things that you need to put in that petition to prove that person does not have the immigrant intent to stay in the United States forever. So I do these all over the world, really. So if you hire an immigration attorney who specializes in immigration in the United States, they would actually know what to do. I've done non-immigrant visas for a very long time now. I was actually on a non-immigrant visa myself, when I was here on an F1 visa to go to school. So the Venezuelan lawyer might know some, but this is I don't understand. I don't know if they actually specialize in immigration if they are in Venezuela. But if you do have hiring someone here in the United States that knows how to submit. All of my clients actually go to those interviews literally get a packet of things that they actually take with them to the consular interview. Just for example, Venezuela has a consulate, but because of the political turmoil, it's been very sporadic trying to get.
So I mean, especially somebody Christian, he's going to operate at a high level. I mean, you're looking at, if you go through Caracas, Venezuela, I wouldn't want to visit right now because of the turmoil and things like that. So if you have somebody like Ahmad here, he's right down off Central and downtown. You can pick up the phone, you can get a hold of him, you can talk to him in English. I don't know if Christian, if you're bilingual, but we can, I mean, obviously, local counsel is local counsel, and it helps a lot when you're trying to get things answered. And I've heard only good things. You have a friend here, Ahmad Yassin.
Okay, I will answer the question. I was in the middle of answering the question. Guys, I think we need to do this, and I'm sorry we're gonna do the legalese here, but anything you hear on this video is not legal advice. It does not make me your lawyer. It doesn't make Derek your lawyer either. We're doing this, we're not charging for time or anything. You're more than welcome to ask questions. Yeah. But please do not, I mean,
we don't represent you.
We don't represent you, and number one, and the answers are general answers. Please don't take them and go apply on your own and run with it. So that's all I'm saying. So there is about 13 million people who are undocumented in the United States. If you don't have status in the United States right now, there are a lot of people who are trying to get status in the United States, and without immigration reform, it could be a really long process. I've represented people who've been here since I was 2 years old, and they didn't have green cards until they hired us. Now, again, this is not a promise of a result in your case, but hiring an immigration attorney who knows what he's doing might actually help you, because we know the loopholes, we know the things to look for. I have a client who didn't know that she qualifies for the waiver of her illegal re-entry, for example, because she had a petition that's pending on her behalf since 2001, so we can use that to apply for the green card. A lot of people don't know. They think if I came here in an undocumented way, I crossed the border, I can't apply for a green card. There are workarounds. So if you've been here in the United States, the question was 5 years, can she apply for citizenship? Now, again, for you to become a citizen, you need to apply for something called permanent residence, which a lot of people say green card.
Yeah, permanent resident card. Right?
Yes, area resident card. So if you've been here for 5 years, you have to have an underlying petition that allows you to get permanent residence. 5 years
just ask me.
might not actually be long enough to actually get a green card. And again, you need an underlying petition to allow you to apply for the permanent residence. Like, for example, you're married to a U.S. citizen, and when you're married to a U.S. citizen and you made an illegal entry to the United States, you can apply for a green card right away. Now, there's a lot of misconception. I'm sorry,
No, it's okay.
Okay, so there's a lot of misconception about something called the 10-year green card. A lot of people call me and say, "Yeah, can I apply for the 10-year green card?" There is no such thing. If you've been here in the United States and you have immediate relatives who are United States, either children or spouse, who are United States citizens, you being here in the United States does not automatically give you a green card just because you have someone who's here and who's a U.S. citizen, legally a person born here. Now, if you've been here for a very long time and your kid turns 21, he can petition for you, and you get a green card that way, and they will sponsor you.
There's a lot of issues with sponsors and things like that.
So the 10-year green card myth comes from this. There's something called cancellation or removal. And unfortunately, for cancellation or removal, you cannot apply for cancellation or removal unless you're actually in removal proceedings. That's why it's cancellation or removal. You have to end up in removal proceedings at some point. And I don't know if people want to take that gamble sometimes. I can send the letter, or I can take it to ICE and tell him, hey, he's here illegally. He's self-reporting. We need to give him a notice to appear to go in front of the immigration judge. There are some things to trigger the removal, all of that stuff. But it's not automatic. It's one of the hardest cases in removal proceedings to win.
Just to reset this, everybody who's just chiming in now, because people come in and out and things like that. This is immigration attorney Ahmad Yassin. I'm Derek Bernstein, personal injury attorney. We're Facebook Live right now.
from Ruby's Elixir Cigar Bar. That's why you see Ahmad here.
Hey, stop
smoking.
that.
It's
Stop.
the American Dream Law Firm. He's sponsoring. He's giving cigars out. So if you want to come down and ask questions, or go to his office and talk stuff, but about information. But one of the things I really love, and you probably might be getting business because of it, is, and my wife, I don't know if she's watching anymore, but every Sunday I watch the show 90 Day Fiancé.
Yes.
And it's awesome. I love the drama, but essentially people who don't watch the show, you should watch it. It's hilarious. But they go to foreign countries, they find the love of their life, quote unquote, and they ask them to marry them. That's where the fiancé comes back. And the 90 days, once they come back on the visa, they have 90 days to get married on that visa, or they are
They have to go back. Yes.
So, have you seen it since this show? People come to you more with this, or to those people who are maybe longing for love and they're thinking about going out to another country, could be South America, Asia, wherever it may be. Usually, it's people from harder to do countries than the United States, which Asia, South America, things like that. What kind of advice do you give to those people who are thinking, you know what, I've had enough of these American guys, American girls. I want to go to the Dominican Republic and go marry somebody. My father-in-law just married a Dominican. She's still there. He's here. They're waiting to do their paperwork.
If you go to the Dominican Republic, bring me some cigars, please. I haven't been yet. I've been to Cuba and got some cigars from there, but Dominican Republic.
You smoke them all and just bring them back.
Absolutely, I need some more. So, 90 Day Fiancé, and I love doing fiancé visas. There is a requirement that you should have met within the last 2 years in person. There are waivers for the 2-year requirement for you to see the person, but usually you apply for that fiancé visa. They come into the United States. You sit down. You for 90 days you get to date and see if you want to actually stay with that person after they're here in the United States. Now, it's more complicated than just the 90 days in the TV show, I promise.
Well, one of the shows they talk about, that's probably leading into what you're saying, is they got a divorce. But can you talk about and I've looked at this before with family stuff, and being that my wife is a refugee, looking at the financial and responsibilities when you sign for a person to come to the United States. I think if people just think like, oh, you're bringing over this person and everything's gonna be great, and if you get a divorce, whatever, they can stay or not or whatever. Can you talk about it being that the responsible person has to sign on the line?
Okay, so there are forms that you have to. The United States government doesn't want you to come in and get food stamps at the end of the day. They don't want you to get assistance or anything like that, and that actually stops you from applying for a lot of benefits if you do end up getting benefits that the they're supposed to be just for United States citizens. Okay, so there is a form.
We're doing a live event. There's people coming in and out. Yeah. You can't see them off camera. We're two lawyers, so if you got any legal questions, you can throw it at us. We're talking immigration with Ahmad and me, personal injury, and whatever else pops up.
Cool. Yeah. So there is a form that you have to sign to sponsor someone. You have to make a certain amount of money, and within a period of 10 years, or until that person becomes a United States citizen, you pledge to the United States government that you're actually going to support this person. And if you don't support that person, it's going to be a problem. If they end up going and getting food stamps, technically the government can actually come after that person. Now, I've seen some brilliant family attorneys recently actually trying to enforce that in divorce cases. Because if you bring a fiancé, for example, and you end up applying for permanent residence, even for that fiancé visa, you have to apply and say that you actually have enough money to support this person when they're in the United States and until they become United States citizens.
If you're broke as a joke, then you can't go over to, Cuba's out of the question, but you can't go over to Dominican Republic and go get somebody. You would essentially be relying on a government form about your income.
You can actually get co-sponsors. You can get other people to say, okay, I will be responsible for this person jointly. Okay, so I've seen some divorce lawyers usually using this now, and I'm trying to enforce it in state court for support. Yeah. So if you're the United States citizen, you make a lot of money, and your spouse who's not from the United States, and you say, I don't have a lot of money. Well, judge, he pledged that he's going to support me for 10 years. to the United States government, and they try to enforce that in family court to actually get support. So
another question, and Will Flores checked in. Hey fellas, he said, hey Will, how's it going? Will's a great personal injury attorney, as well as he does some criminal defense as well. So he's one of the people I lean on when I have some questions as well. Great young attorney. His office is down on Central Avenue. If you can't get a hold of me, Will's a great person to call as well. But Omar Amir El Natur, I said that right? It's pretty good, right? Yeah, close enough. Sorry, Omar. My sister has a son, 5 years old, born in America, Florida, and he got on spot the U.S. nationality because he was born here. I added that part, sorry. She is interested in immigration, in parentheses, she is Palestinian. So what is the best way which doesn't cost
a lot of money? Okay.
Yeah. So can I interject you for that, because you're probably going to go on a long thing about it. And I'm here. I brought him on because I don't know a lot about immigration, so I want to bring it to you guys, these questions. But one of the things people ask me a lot of the time is, well, I need this really, really important thing done. How cheap can it be done? And so what I warn people is sometimes the price you're paying is exactly what you're going to get worth. So if you pay somebody, like you see those little, I was driving to my friend's wedding, and I saw a little cardboard cut out on the side of the road that said, like, divorce filings done, $299.
First of all, that's illegal. It's a third-degree felony in Florida to actually practice
I think it's done by a paralegal. Is probably who's
that's
doing
still
it.
illegal. That's a third-degree felony in Florida, by the way.
So they're probably doing from some Google Voice account where it's not readily registered then. But anyways, if you're going to call somebody up who says, I can do your divorce for $499, what you're probably going to do is, after you realize that they don't know what they're doing, or you're getting a very basic level, then you're going to have to call up somebody like myself and say, I paid somebody $499. How cheap can you do it for? And I'm going to say, well, you should have come to me first. We're going to do things right. We're going to file things properly. We're going to be prepared for court. We're going to do everything, and I'm going to lay out, a price that is in line with what needs to be done. So when you're looking to pay somebody, if you want, a used 1998 Honda Civic, it might get you from A to B, but be wary when you buy the one with the clunks and the dinks and the things like that. If you want to get good representation, just like I'm a tattoo guy, so I like tattoos, watch out for the person charging $19 on Friday nights to give you a tattoo. Maybe it won't be the straightest lines, it could be squiggly. So I always tell people, buyer beware. Find people, reach out to people like Ahmad, myself, and say, hey, I have this issue. Who do you recommend? Because sometimes, Ahmad's been doing this for a while. I don't know what his fees are. I'm pretty sure they're in line with his experience and things like that. But if you're looking and you just can't make things happen, sometimes I might know somebody who's a lot younger, newer, starting off, but still a good attorney, who's trying to keep the bills paid, and maybe their rates per hour are a lot less than mine. So that is the way to do it, and find, if you're looking for the cheapest way out there. If this is really important to people, save up. Especially when it comes to immigration, it comes to personal injury. Personal injury, for car crashes and things like that, I don't get paid up front, so it's a little different. But reach out to attorneys in your community, find a good attorney, and don't cheap out on legal services.
And usually, like the bar associations, like St. Pete Bar has a referral service,
correct,
where you can actually call and get a referral for an attorney, and we pay for that. Attorneys pay for that, but you don't actually pay for that. And a lot of the time, they actually have to agree to charge you a certain amount of money for the consultation fee.
Low-income ones, you have to
just call and
see. And then hear who that person is. And I used to work with a Clearwater bar, and they had a couple people there. And some people want some volume, so they'll accept a lower fee. It doesn't mean that they're the worst in the world. Do your research. Call me. Call Ahmad. Call people in the community who know this person and say, hey, this person's charging X amount of dollars an hour. Are they worth it? And I could say, yeah. Or I could say, keep looking. Let me talk to some people. What's your budget? What can you do? But you don't want to just go off the side. So I think going back to his question, he was asking what's the best way, which doesn't cost a ton, to help get his, I think it was his sister?
Yes,
his sister.
Well,
who has a child who's an American citizen.
Okay, so your sister has to support a kid for 15 years. I don't know. I apologize. I really don't know how to answer that. There's a bunch of ways to do it. Okay, Usually a United States citizen child, though, cannot petition for a parent until they are 21. So you have about 16 years of waiting. That's what your sister has. Now, there are a lot of ways to do it before he turns 21. And I really don't know anything about that person that you're asking about. But there's a lot of ways to actually bring them in the United States and wait until they the child becomes 21 year old,
or find a different sponsor.
Find a different sponsor to actually do it.
Some people come over, and I know immigration status and things like that. I'm very familiar, obviously, with the Cuban plight because my family's basically has half my wife's whole side came from Cuba. It's hard because sometimes they'll let one person leave on a visa and the rest of their family has to stay back. So I know it's hard sometimes, but do you recommend churches as sponsors? Do people go to your church if you're a church-going person or whatever your religious background is? Try to find a sponsor that way?
Well,
not the church itself.
Oh, the church itself. I thought you were asking. No. So people at the church are okay. They only have to be United States citizens or green card holders, guys. And sometimes you can actually use a person's income if they're allowed in the United States. If they've been in the United States and they're working legally, you can actually use their income as a sort of support for them. Like you can self-sponsor kind of thing. So, but short of having her wait until he's 21, unfortunately, there aren't cheap ways to actually do it. For example, if she has a different citizenship from a different country, she can actually use that citizenship to come and invest some money in the United States and get a green card that way. Or if she has a company overseas, she can open a branch over here. And if you have $500,000 to invest in the United States, that's also a way to do it.
Or a super cool scale.
Yeah, or a super cool scale, a model like Melania, right, is her name, first lady. Melania Trump got they call it the Einstein visa. I've done a lot of those before. I'm not Einstein, but the other person might be. So, that's a joke. but there are a lot of ways. So if you would like to, for me to actually give you a better discussion about that, call me. Now, in the United States, you can call me at 1-888-963-7326. You need an easy. Say that slower. Yeah, if you need an easy way, to remember it, that's 1-888-96-DREAM, like DREAM. That's another way to remember. If you're calling me from overseas, call me at 727-317-9757. We have people picking up the phone at all times from 8 until midnight. So if you really have a question and you want to schedule a consultation, give me a call and I'll be more than happy to speak to you about it.
Yeah, and I think, we'll probably wrap this up here so people aren't watching 50 minutes of us talk back and forth about things. But, one of the reasons I bring on somebody like Ahmad is to answer questions that I can't answer for my own clients and for my friends. And I'm going to be doing more of these videos, so if you'd like to be part of it and bring your expertise, and it could be anything, it could be in marketing, it could be you're a small business owner, whatever it is, and I'm a small business owner as well. But, when you're talking about these processes, it's difficult. And the reason why, we are, as attorneys, I feel, we're here for a necessity. If you didn't need us to do this, we wouldn't have jobs and we wouldn't be here, we couldn't get paid. So the reason why Ahmad is here is because people need help with this, and year after year, people try to do it on their own, and it's really difficult. So, if you do have the finances where you just can't do it, we're good attorneys. We'll give you good advice to help you out. We're not here just to make money. So we want to give people good advice. That's why we're out here.
If I may do one thing, I own Make America Dream Again, guys, and all the money, and I have some merchandise on MADA.biz, which is MADA.biz. 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 And every single penny that I make off of that website goes to support a scholarship at Stetson University College of Law. A lot of people, I came here as a 18 years old in the United States to go to school. And a lot of people helped me to go to school, and I don't have, the debt to that a lot of us might have, but I was in law school on scholarships. So if you guys would go to that website and order some stuff for me to be able to actually support that scholarship, I would really appreciate it. It's again, it's MADA.biz. I don't make a single penny out of that. All the money, all the proceeds actually go to the scholarship, because I would like a person like myself, if they can't afford law school, to actually afford law
And
school.
hopefully pass it forward. I went to Stetson Law. Ma went to Stetson Law. A lot of attorneys in this area went to Stetson Law, so it's really something good. But I'm going to end this video really soon. I just want to tell everybody thank you for watching. We're going to post this, so if you're seeing it later and you do have questions, you can reach out to me, you can reach out to Aman, and we'll try to get you in the right direction or answer what we can. I got my videos going. I'll probably put this up on my YouTube, on my, I got Instagram TV now, so that's something.
Okay.
So if you want to watch the same thing twice, but like it in two different places, you can do that, or reach out to us any way you can. So Ahmad, I thank you for coming on here. And most of the people have been asking you questions because they've been tired of hearing me answer all these regular stuff.
Go to Facebook and like American Dream Law Office too, if you can. Thank you so much, sir. I really appreciate it.
Thank you guys for watching.
Now, how do I?
So I got a question for you, bro.